we are in 2016.
It's glorious.
God. It's our first actual live. We did a couple of test runs on YouTube the other day. If anybody got notified of that and you were wondering what the fuck was going on, we apologize.
And look, there's a new shot of me, buddy.
Yeah, there's
You
a new
did
shot
that.
There's a new shot of Todd.
Oh, not really, but it's nice. It's nice.
Well,
It's a little diff.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So 2016, our last episode
was kind of a twisted Christmas.
It was kind of.
New Year's
we talked a little bit about Christmassy stuff, but it was. I mean, we haven't done this for a month.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
We took a month off for the holidays and things like that, and to kind of revamp our show a little bit, and other shows that I'm working on. And what did you do anything special for the holidays at all?
Not really.
You just stayed home, just relaxed.
Relaxed.
Nothing. Mine was bullshit.
A lot of sex. Is that okay? Is that okay to say? No.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think it's just fine to say.
Also, I want to let everybody know that if you are watching this live on YouTube right now and
you're one
saved,
of one.
You're one of one. And it gets recorded to YouTube on our website. If the audio is a little off and we find that out later on tonight, I will redo the video in post-production and I'll get a decent video on YouTube if this gets off for some unknown reason. I don't know. I was on... Okay, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about how the holidays were.
Recording the Zoom.
Yeah, you better start. Hit record, buddy. There you go.
We forgot all about our checklist.
Yeah. Lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
There. I don't know if that'll even help later on. People will know what I'm talking about if they're watching the video and you know anything about cameras and shows and whatnot. That's cool.
And I don't think people normally
give shit.
No, I don't think. No, I don't. They don't know to give a shit. I didn't know enough about this kind of stuff.
Okay, so when you we're getting off topic. Well, I don't know. We're talking about
tech.
Today's podcast is solely around technology because of my frustration lately with
technology,
adding technology to the show and
tough.
Buying things, and what has been a waste of money, what has been I've set too high of expectations for some things. And,
when people say something's magical, it'll solve all your problems.
When somebody says
you do
something's
kind of
magically
expect
delicious,
things to be
right.
Yeah, I don't think that's a high expectation by any means.
Real quick before we get interrupted, I'm gonna hit the on. Did you hit the on air?
Yep, on air button.
Oh, look at you, Todd.
On air lights on, buddy.
Look at you, buddy.
That's my favorite thing to do. Flick that switch and say, "On air, bitches, stay out."
Now this live show is actually happening right now. It's 1:00 in the afternoon in Iowa, which means I'm not drinking. Normally we drink during the show and I relax and
we could drink.
No, it's 1. It's 1 o'clock. I don't have any beer with me right now.
It's 5:30 somewhere. It's 5:30 in Australia. I'm sure Will's having a beer, and Will just.
Oh, Will.
He's stuck there, I think. Still, is he still working on his visa?
I don't know.
Our produce run fella.
Yeah,
I like him a lot too.
Yeah, he's a great.
I hope he gets to come back.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely going to be able to come back. He's working on his product and stuff over there for right now. Okay, let's get back to the frustration of technology.
Sweet.
Okay, and there's a few things that we're going to be talking about today. One is Wirecast. I'll tell you what we use for the show, right?
Make it short and sweet for the poor bastards who have to listen to this. So,
well, if you're into technology and you're wondering how to do a podcast or you're wondering how to do a video podcast, this show is the one that you're going to want to listen to. And I've learned a lot from other podcasts, from going to YouTube and listening to other podcasts and what people use and I kind of went balls deep.
Yes.
On this show.
Yes, you did.
With technology and, do I really need all of that?
But there's something to be said, though, and I've said this before, about I appreciate you saying, I think we need this. I think this is going to be important. And so I don't know. And so I'm like, okay, whatever if you think that's what we need, then I'm going to trust you in that. And if anything, we've bought a lot of stuff, but I don't think that it means that we didn't buy anything that we didn't need to have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's little things like the screen that you wanted me to have in front of my face. There's little things like that you were able to return
Yeah, like
and
that
things would be okay.
windscreen thing. I
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate Amazon Prime, and
Should be a sponsor of our podcast.
they should be. We should somehow get them as a sponsor of the podcast because, okay, so we started out, and in the first couple podcasts people have listened to, they've heard this before, but we started out with a laptop, which we've upgraded from that laptop to we have a big desktop computer that is switching and doing all the stuff that
Just
Todd
like
is
that.
doing right now. Yeah, all that
you.
back and forth stuff. But we've also upgraded from that laptop to that and this iMac, or not iMac, this MacBook
Yeah,
Pro,
MacBook
right?
Pro. Mm-hmm.
So to do a podcast, you don't need to have all that stuff. If you're just doing an audio podcast and you want to have good audio, that's the main thing. You want to have great audio.
Great audio. Yeah.
But you don't need to have the cameras and mixing boards and stuff like mixers. If you're just sitting in your room doing a podcast by yourself,
Yeah.
all you need is a decent computer and a microphone.
Well, if you look behind me, to the
Or just a microphone.
left of the screen there, that's a blue mic, and it's just a desktop mic that somebody can talk directly
That's
into.
a live cam, Microsoft Live Cam.
Yeah, I was thinking of the microphone that's
1080.
there, though. I was just thinking that microphone there is a really simple microphone that you can buy anywhere.
It's a Yeti. It's a blue.
So I said the very first time. It's
you
a
did?
blue. It's a blue mic, and they're really nice. And I've seen lots of podcasts that use them because they can simply just hang there. They look kind of cool. They look kind of decorative, kind of old timey-ish. But you can get something like that and make it pretty simple. If it's just you and somebody else, somebody else who had to share that mic, it'd be kind of tough. But
And that is what's called a condenser mic, right? The mics that Todd and I use in front of us are dynamic microphones, and if you don't know the difference between those two, and you may not, a dynamic microphone has it's a much smaller cone.
no sound retrieval.
Right. And you don't need to have phantom power, pushing power to the microphone for it to work. If you had like a lavalier mic, or if you have a condenser microphone like they have over there, you generally will have to have some power going to that microphone. And you can have that power coming from your computer or from a mixing board. But the big difference between the two, dynamic microphones are not going to pick up a ton of ambient noise around the room and outside the room, and that's why we really wanted it, because when we started, our kids were just right out on the other side of the door running around being crazy, and we could hear them in our headphones, but
you couldn't hear them
on the mics.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They would
kind of a neat thing, though. I don't think I realized the difference between mics. And I was showing a friend a video over the Christmas break, and it was that Walk the Earth band that redid that song.
Oh, yeah, when everybody's
playing the guitar. Yeah,
on the guitar.
Yeah, and I was like going, hey, those are dynamic mics, because they're just picking up everything that's right in front of them, and they use them really well, too, because they had like two people playing the guitar at different frets. They had that guy doing the blink at the top of the thing. Right. So they had mics set up perfectly so it picked up just what they needed to pick up, and dynamic mics are what they use. So,
I didn't realize that.
It's kind of cool. You only notice fun things like that once you're in it. And then you're like, oh, this is a great song. The way the mic set up is really unique. I like that.
Right. So, again, if you're doing a podcast and if you want to do something recorded like that, you are going to have to consider a few things, like who's going to be your media host. We use Libsyn. We put a certain amount on Libsyn every month, and you pay for how much storage space are you going to need per month. So once you do a show, 30 days after you've posted that to Libsyn, it gets archived, and you get, whether it's 200 megabytes or 800 megabytes or whatever it is, it refreshes after 30 days after you've put something on Libsyn. So otherwise, you run the risk, if you put it on your own website, if you're super popular and what you're having to say is catching fire, people can crash your website because too many people have gone to that. Whereas you have Libsyn do it, all the downloads can come from that.
Right.
So that's like the really easy way to do a podcast. I think you can use your camera on your laptop. You can use which they didn't have when we started, but they now have USB microphones that are just fantastic. In fact,
Well,
which one did I give you to take home to use?
Oh, I have a
Do you know the
microphone
name
that
brand?
I can't remember the name
Remember the
brand,
name
but
brand of that?
you just put an SD card on the end of it and turn it on, and it's a mic. So I would think that would be the easiest way to do your own podcast. Have a mic that you can literally sit on the couch with a beer and sit back and have a conversation about something, or have a conversation with someone about something, and you literally could record it directly onto the mic. Take that SD card, stick it in the side of your computer, and upload it to whatever you want to do. I mean, it's kind of amazing that the technology has gotten to that point. But then it can also get extremely complicated to the point where we struggle, getting our sound to be correct, and we had to dial it in so well, or having certain things stream the way you want it to, because we have so many fucking things going on at one time. It's like, okay, so where did we? And like today, I was just like, how about we just turn everything off? Let's just turn it all off and see what happens. And somehow that resets something, But how do you know? It's just so weird.
Yeah, and as you are adding things to your show, like what Todd said, when we started out, we're just doing audio, and we scrapped a bunch of shows at the very beginning because it didn't sound very good. It annoyed me.
Shit.
The conversation itself was great, and what we were talking about, I think, should have been said, but we can't. When you do a long form interview process or debate, like what we kind of do on the show, you can't. It's not on a teleprompter. It's completely raw, and no matter how hard I try, I wouldn't be able to re-say the conversation that we had the first 10 or so podcasts.
I think we've probably hit all those subjects over the time of the podcast history so far of the Primal Scream, but I do think that there is something to be said about it being the long form interview is what you really get the most out of. And if you don't have good sound quality, I think it's hard enough to captivate somebody for 3 hours anyways. But that being said, it's much harder if it sounds like shit. Like, oh, I really like these guys. I really want to listen to them. Oh God, it sounds terrible. I'll just do a half an hour. I can't do any more because the sound's not good.
Right.
So that was one thing we focused on from the very beginning.
Now there's podcasts that I enjoy. I enjoy what they're saying, but I don't enjoy how they sound because I'm kind of a audio snob now.
Well, I think
so. If they're peaking out,
yeah,
and I can hear on their microphones if they're like, really buzzing in my ears when I'm listening to them in my car, on my phone, whatever, I turn them off. I mean, I really want to see what that porn star is going to say.
You want to hear what she has to say? You can't see what she has to say.
Well,
I really want to hear what she has to say.
Well,
that being said,
a lot of podcasts are now on YouTube, so that's a great thing. Like what we're doing is, especially when we have guests on, you can see what we look like. Not Todd, of course, but what the guest looks like. And I'm specifically talking about the fighter and the kid.
Oh, sure.
And I cannot stand how badly their sound sounds.
And is that because they don't have a producer behind the board somewhere?
They probably do. I have no idea. I don't know the process in which they put their podcasts out, and I don't want to talk a lot of shit about them. I think that
they have good conversations, though.
Yeah, I think they
like
have great
podcast,
conversations.
Yeah.
I think that there's just that one bit that.
Well, it's because you know enough about it where you're just like, wow, if you just dialed in something a little bit, somebody sat down with that. Like the guy that you've come in and had look at this board. All they would have to do is have somebody come in and dial in that sound, and we'd be golden. Yeah. So it's just you see easy, quick fix, and you're just like, fuck, why don't they do that?
Right. And I started out knowing nothing about this stuff. So we graduated once we decided, once we figured out how to record our voices, we decided we had to have a mixer because we wanted to go with dynamic microphones. These are XLR inputs. That's the 3-pronged inputs. And I've used religiously Amazon Prime and Guitar Center for almost all of my products that we've purchased. There's a few other H&D, I believe.
H&D, isn't it like clothing?
No.
That's H&M, sorry. I don't know why I know that.
Let me see here.
I don't know why I know that. I take it all back.
It's not H&D. What is it? H&B.
And that's a tech website?
I'm sorry, B&H. I'm so fucked up right now. If you go to B&Hphotovideo.com, they have almost everything you could ever think of technology-wise to purchase there. I mean, you can buy computers, you can buy audio equipment, you can buy home theater equipment, you can buy um, cameras there.
Wow.
But be prepared. You will be spending a lot
Just
of
to
money.
say pay out the ass, is that's kind of the key? It's a one-stop shop kind of place.
It is a one-stop shop. It's
but
definitely a one-stop shop.
Super expensive than the average.
Right. I mean, you can buy drones there, lighting studios, surveillance equipment, tripods, but you get professional level shit. Professional level
gotcha.
stuff. So, if like we didn't have hardly any budget when we first started out.
Sure.
It's not like we really do now. It's just that we pour a lot into it. But like when you're starting out and you can't afford $350 tripods and you can't afford Canon Vixia HF20 cameras, that's actually what we use. I just purchased another one, so we're gonna have 3 for Todd and I and the guest. And then we use right now, Todd is using the Microsoft LifeCam USB camera, which that's a pretty decent camera.
It's not bad.
What you see from him right now is pretty good. I keep slamming my hands on the table, which the camera's mounted on the table. It's shaking it. But let me go to my account here on B&H because a lot of the things that I purchased for the computer build that we have,
Is from them?
It's from them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, like so far, hopefully you can, like if you're doing it by yourself, you can use a USB microphone. You can use your camera on your laptop, and you can Skype or do Google Hangouts or this
Zoom.
new one, Zoom, which my wife turned me on to, and it seems like it's not very glitchy at all.
Yeah, it's almost glitch-free.
Super easy to use. You get a Zoom account, go to zoom.com, log in, get your own account. Once you have that, you can send anybody a request.
Yeah. And you click on it, and it links them right up.
Yeah, I can email Todd a request. He hits the link, and boom, he's on.
It's kind of amazing.
On his phone, on his laptop, wherever. We're actually going to be using that on a future show that I'm going to be producing here within the month. We're going to be doing the first show by the end of this month.
That's very exciting stuff. I'm happy for you guys.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't include me, but that's all right. I can't be in everything.
You can't be in everything.
I can't be
right?
in everything. I'd like to be, but I can't.
Let's see, my account. I started talking, I stopped looking. And then I have a wish list, obviously.
So, speaking of drones, did you hear that 1 million drones were bought for Christmas presents this year?
1 million
drones. 1 million drones. And they're like already having discussions about drone highways and like developing another layer of, airspace just for drones. So I imagine that it'll be different, that like I'm spitballing here, that it would be like, if delivery drones are working, or there are drones that do stuff like that, then there'll be like a highway that they can travel on them and communicate with each other. But then like drones, like the little one that I have for fun that I'm learning how to use, and the drones that we use for like shooting video and things like that, those would have a whole nother kind of rule set. But I just cannot believe that we're at a point now where flying objects that are under somebody else's control are now having to kind of be regulated, because they're literally going to be bumping into each other. There's going to have to be rules, because people are going to slam into each other. I don't want to be, doing something and get hit by a drone.
I don't think that's why. I don't think that's why we need.
It's a conspiracy theory. This is another government conspiracy theory.
I think it's about privacy. I think it's about people taking drones with cameras, HD cameras, 4K cameras.
Oh yeah.
And doing a flyby of somebody's
bedroom window. That's really fucked up.
Getting shot. You have stalkers.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's just very. Because I don't have that kind of mentality. I'm like going, oh. I don't think. Never thought about that.
I really don't think it has anything to do with the safety of bumping into another drone. I think it does.
You don't
have
think if
to,
we have thousands of drones that are delivering Amazon packages and fucking pizza
no,
and all this
that's
stuff,
not what
or
you said though. You said 1 million drones were ordered.
right?
We have
Oh, you're saying that for personal.
360
And I
million.
think they
right?
said 3/4 of those were for personal use,
Okay.
for specific. So
But
I
I
guess I
mean,
see what you're saying.
If you and I were to get a drone, we might take it out once a month. Hopefully, actually, 4 times maybe a month. We'd be
Okay.
able to take it out. Everybody's not going to put their drones all up in the air at the same time.
Right.
I really think that the fact that you had to register a drone has everything to do with privacy. People,
Where are you using it?
Americans freaking out about privacy and about airspace with helicopters, police helicopters,
Oh.
and
Could a drone
like-
take down a helicopter?
well,
I'm just wondering.
Just any you throw debris of any kind
Into a
into
helicopter.
an engine.
Oh,
you
okay.
You could fuck up just about anything. It's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, and why take a chance when
Why take
it's
a
just
chance?
yeah.
Right.
I think it's okay that you regulate them. I
You
mean, I
fly
have
a
no
dr-
problem with those
If you
things.
were to fly a drone into a jet engine,
Oh.
it would shred the drone, of course.
But right.
Yeah, of course there would be some damage. to
Yeah,
it.
I guess I was thinking more of a drone going to like a helicopter blade would be be the more concerning thing for a helicopter, and I thought that a blade would probably be okay. But then they talk about how the blades have to be like perfectly edged all the time, and that if they have little divots in them and stuff like that, it can throw off how the helicopter flies. So it sounds like those blades are pretty delicate and not very like user friendly.
For whatever
I don't
fucking
fucking
reason,
know.
I can't find.
That's okay. You're
any
spending
of
a
the
lot of
shit,
time on that anyways. So
that I bought. I can kind of talk through it though. Okay, so we talked about the microphones, and then we decided, you know what? Maybe we can create some revenue through some product placement, right? That was the initial thoughts on why we got the GoPros, right?
I thought that the reason why we got the GoPros was that we might be able to get more hits on YouTube if we had video showing. We thought that product placement could be a possibility,
Okay,
but
so
you know,
product placement was a secondary thing.
Pepsi hasn't knocked down our door yet. So
Right, none of the alcohol places. none of the
Miller
bars.
Lite is not beating down our door, and I'm really upset about it.
I don't really need Miller Lite too, though.
Yeah, that'd
But
be
I
pretty
mean, if
fucking
Miller-
awesome.
if
If we
Miller
had a tapper in here,
If Miller Lite said if they were to give us money to drink only their product,
oh
on our
god, would
show.
that be glorious?
it would be. I wouldn't turn them down, but
Oh, it'd be
there's maybe
so
a
great.
different beer.
Oh, sure. There's
Or
different
like-
beers. I'd probably rather have some Workman's Comp from Lion Bridge, or, some Fat Tire from New Belgium. But if somebody came knocking down our door and said, "Hey, we are more than happy to pay you to drink only our beer on your show," I'm all over it.
Yeah,
Just not Bud Light. It gives me a terrible headache. Not that there's anything wrong with Bud Light. It just gives me a bad headache.
just you personally. Biologically, you're a pussy.
No.
and you get a headache
I
from
don't-
drinking Bud Light.
I don't like headaches, so that's why I don't.
I'm
drink
just saying it affects you that way. It might
it.
not
Right.
get
So if I'm one of
everybody.
the people on the show and I like to drink beer a lot, and I'm going to be consuming it, and they're paying me to consume it, I want to consume something I like to drink.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
sure.
Nothing to do with being a pussy at all.
I was just making fun of your genes, buddy. It's not
Oh,
you.
good.
It's not you.
Right.
It's not your
Todd's family
personality.
genes are just pussies. I get it. No, I see where you're going. It's backhanded and really, really cold towards my grandparents. But other than that, it's absolutely fine.
All right. So our audio setup. Once we did set it up, we got 4 microphones. We had a kitchen table in my basement, and we set it up in a bedroom. We made our own sound boards so that it would cut down the echo in
Yep.
the room.
Mm-hmm.
We put up some black curtains on the walls.
Yep.
If you want to check out those podcasts on YouTube,
Like
you can
25
check it out.
on, 25 to 78 or something like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. And we were using for video. We used primarily GoPro cameras. Now, if you do a short show under 20 minutes, I'm sorry,
An
under
hour. You could probably do an hour,
under
yeah.
7. I'm talking about like
One shot, you mean?
for
Okay.
GoPro, you can't switch. You can't switch between the cameras. The only way you can do that is in post production. And GoPro is just like a DSLR camera in regards to this. they're not a camcorder. It's not a continuous recording. Now, GoPro continuously records, but when it'll record for X amount of time, and then that's a chunk of video, and then it continues to record. That's it just chunks it out, so you can't pull in one file from GoPro when you're done,
Right.
and that got to be really super time consuming. We had two GoPros at the beginning, then we got a third GoPro, and taking that in with, I would also do screen capture on my laptop, and I would bring that video in.
Can you remember back to when we used to like get the GoPros on the microphone stands and adjust them for their width, and we had to be clicking through the back of the GoPro to make sure we had the right setting. Was it narrow? Was it wide? How's it look? We had one LED screen that we click on the back, see how it looked, walked around, make sure they all were in the right position.
A lot of times we would use
shit.
our phones and we would connect
Wi-Fi
that's right.
Yeah.
with the GoPros, and we still have the GoPros, and we use them for certain things still. But we would GoPro. We had GoPro Hero 3s, which are great. The silver edition, the black edition, they're wonderful for podcasting like this, or for getting certain tight shots.
Yes.
I would not recommend, at least for my own needs, going to the newest GoPro, which is like this little square,
little black
2-inch by 2-inch black
it's
box.
Crazy looking.
All of my attachments would work with a GoPro Hero 3. If you go on Amazon and you type in GoPro Hero 3, let's see what they're going for right now.
I mean, GoPros are incredible for exactly what they're made for. They're made for small snippets of time while people are snowboarding or skiing or doing fun things with their families and stuff like that. That is what a GoPro is for. A GoPro is not for long form video shooting. It just is not. Right?
This is so fucked up. On Amazon Prime right now, if you go to Amazon.com, you type in GoPro Hero 3, there's one. You know how you have all those little pictures, right?
Right.
You can decide who you want to go with, who's giving the best price. What's funny is you can get a brand new GoPro Hero 3 for $229.99.
Wow.
New. There's 42 of them.
That's
right?
awesome.
If you get it used, $240. Who in their right mind would decide, you know what, I want a used one and I want to pay more for it?
Yeah, can I have the one that you've taken through every mud run in the country, please?
I just thought that was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it happens a lot on Amazon, though.
Does it really?
Yeah. Half the time I'm like, why is it something used like more than the actual thing you can buy? I don't know.
Okay. So we talked about the GoPros, and again, we used 64 gigabyte micro SD cards in the GoPros. We had we bought the containers for the GoPros that left it almost completely exposed, so that we could plug in so we could wire it powered wise. We could plug it into an outlet so it would not run out of
We always
battery.
keep shooting.
Because there was times where we would charge up the battery, then we bought an external battery to go on the back of that, a backpack battery to go on top of on that, and it was just one more thing to fucking hassle with when it's in your studio. When it's in your home, and you're not moving things, and that's just the way it's going to be. Why make it more complicated? Why buy things you don't need? Just get a plug-in charger that plugs right into your GoPro, and you're set. You don't have to worry about power. Just the micro SD card. So we had the GoPros, we had the microphones, we had the mixers. Everything was set up. Now what you get into is the software. What software are you going to use to deal with the editing of the audio, editing of the video? What are you going to be able to pull in? How are you going to be able to export it? At first, we worked with iMovie because it's free.
Right, and I don't remember those days very well. Oh, no, that's what we used, the main thing. You didn't use that for very long, though. You were using a free version of Premiere Pro not long after that because it was so difficult to do, correct?
Right. A friend of mine had given me an older version
of
Premiere Pro.
Right.
Pretty much right away. And he had given it to me, and like 6 months went by, and he goes, "So how's it all working? How do you like it?" I go, "I haven't touched it."
Yeah. It took a little while for you to reach out and just decide, you know what, I'm just going to go for it.
Because I feel like you really need to get comfortable. Well, I shouldn't say that. You don't need to get comfortable. You need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right.
So you just had to make that jump. And, there was the reason why we found the demonologist
Yep.
was because I was on YouTube one day and I was looking up what's the difference between fucking Final Cut Pro and Premiere Pro. It looks like they do the exact same
God,
things.
that's right.
So why would I choose that one over that one? Final Cut Pro looks like it's a lot cheaper. I can just buy the hard version for like $230, something like that. It was right around that price range.
Well, because that's back when like you talked about earlier. You don't want to keep buying shit you don't have to buy. So you're sitting trying to compare and contrast and see which one you think would be best and which one can you use long term. So you're not fucking buying things all the time. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you're looking for that when you found her.
And so I ended up seeing that Premiere Pro was probably the route we wanted to take. Mm-hmm. And it was an older version. It was Premiere Pro CS 5 or 5.5, which was what I started out using. And it seemed pretty easy. Very user-friendly. Once you kind of got into it and you used it 4 or 5 times, it got pretty easy. Now, when it was a motherfucker to bring in all of those shots, all those video files from the GoPros, because they would record at slightly different speeds, and sometimes you'd have to stretch a segment so that everybody's lips. We would have we record our audio externally, and we started doing that with, do you remember what that was? That little silver little thing?
Not the Zoom, but
I let Metro High School is using it right now.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, that was our first audio capture kind of thing.
And I would highly recommend having an external audio capture device of some kind. Right now we use a Zoom H6, which is field recorder. It's fucking phenomenal. You can have multiple inputs, XLR inputs. So we can travel around and do a podcast, and we've done that a few times. The Zoom, you can plug it in for power right out of the outlet, or you can put AA batteries in it, and you can supply phantom power to microphones. And we've done that with shotgun microphones for certain interviews. So the Zoom H6 it's
pretty amazing piece of equipment.
Awesome. It's really, really awesome.
Well, when you have that, and you also have that backup for your backup. You have that audio backup, which is what you want to have. How many times have we fucked up and you've been like, okay, I'll just pull it off the Zoom.
Which, thank God you hit record.
Yeah, it would have been the same thing. Yeah, if this hadn't worked, then yeah, I've been fucked.
So generally what I do is I take the recording that's on the Zoom. I'll take the SD card out of that, put it in my laptop. I'll bring up either Adobe Audition. I started out with iMovie. Then I went to Premiere Pro, and I didn't know, I wasn't really familiar with how to integrate Audition with Premiere Pro, with After Effects. With Adobe CC, Creative Cloud, it's so much better. It's so much easier to pull that stuff together. It's so much easier to do a multicam edit in the Creative Cloud than it was in CS 5.5. But anyway, I would bring in my audio track once I had rendered that how I wanted it to sound. And there's a really wonderful...
you won't be mad at me if my eyes glaze over, will you? Are you okay with that? If my eyes just glaze over,
every now and then, if you want to do an injection of some kind to get you going and talk about something else that reminds you of technology, we'll come back to technology. We're going to continue to come back to what we use in the studio, but Todd might veer off from time to time. The technology part is not Todd's strong point.
Okay, so that being said, I do enjoy it. I just want to make sure people are enjoying this podcast. And if I glaze over, I'm going to assume that there might be a person or two that glazes over. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be a dick. Just saying.
But this isn't just for podcasters and professionals who want to put out entertainment. these items and this software, these products can also be used for your home movies. And if you want something really cool to bring to your next family get together, or if you have if you have an uncle or a cousin or somebody like that who is recording pictures and video at your family get-togethers, or your child's musical performance or a wrestling meet or something like that, and you wanted to know how do you bring all this stuff together, yeah, you can use iMovie, but you can also use Premiere Pro. And if you want to get great audio, I support highly Auphonic Levelator, AUPHONIC Leveler, Auphonic Leveler. So you just grab your wave format file, your audio wave file, drag it into that, and it will jack up all your volume and squash it at the same time, so that you don't have any annoying peaks, right?
That blowout that you were talking about earlier.
So somebody can talk really softly like this, but you can tell they're kind of whispering, but it will bring up the volume so that when somebody's in their car, they're not having to adjust
their volume.
The stereo in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about Premiere Pro, and we've talked about the software that we've used, right, to get decent audio,
decent video,
how to deal with video. Now, and then we moved away from the GoPros because I was so fucking sick and tired of a 3-hour show. You have a ton of segments in the GoPros. So instead of dealing with all those segments, I went and got Canon HF G20. It's a prosumer type of camera, HDMI output, and with a camcorder, you do have that one continuous recording shot.
Yeah. So the coolest thing I read recently, because I'm just going to totally interrupt you, is they came out with a Braille watch. And so people now, it's kind of expensive. It's a $2,000 watch, but you can read text messages from people because the surface of it bumps up like the Braille things are, and you can sit there and read a text with your fingers, and it reads it all off to you, so that the blind can now kind of be more involved in the technology that's happening. And so I thought that was such a cool idea that, how otherwise? I guess you could probably.
So
they have
is more blind people are not gonna have two hands on the steering wheel when they're driving. Yeah, they're gonna be reading their watch.
Exactly. God damn it! Stop looking at your watch and drive your car. And so the Braille pops up. I would imagine I know they have like regular time watches that you can feel the time. And so, but this guy found a way to do it very quickly. These bumps pop up and down to read. And if you've ever seen anybody read Braille, they just it looks like they're on a fucking typewriter. They just they could just read so fast. Right. So this watch does the same thing, but it's for text messaging. And it reads the speed of your fingers moving across the text, and it keeps popping the things up. And I thought, wow, that is really fucking
awesome. They have
awesome.
keyboards like that.
Yeah. It was thought it was really cool for the watch. You can see that right there.
Oh. So where can people find that? Converts text and email into Braille. Breakthrough smartwatch.
Yeah. I mean, I hope
it's on the Good News Network.
Yeah, I hope the cost comes down. $2,000 for a watch. That's quite a bit more than even an Apple Watch. But
you have that, and then you have the price for the classes to teach you how to read Braille.
Well, most people unless they're super young, most people know how to read Braille that are blind.
I can totally see super preppy people having Braille watches who aren't blind.
Oh, fuck it. Please don't say that's possible. People are not that dumb.
Why
would you buy a Braille watch? Why would you buy a Braille watch if you can see? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. That's so dumb.
I don't know. Why do people have 24-karat gold watches? I have no clue.
Because they want to spend money on something fancy-nancy and not something that they can't fucking use.
People want to have things that not everybody has.
Oh, that's the most
people want
to
stand
thing
out.
I've ever heard of in my whole life. Oh,
that's
my
just
God.
Okay, so let's move on to most recent stuff, which is I got so sick of dealing with the post-production of the show because it would take days to deal with. I would have to rewatch the whole show, and I'm cutting back and forth between cameras in Premiere Pro. And even though you're able to do that, it is a huge waste of time. Huge waste of time. So I was looking at some different options on the computer, on the internet, and one of those options was Wirecast. The Wirecast software, which basically gives you a home studio on your computer. Now, the thing with Wirecast is if you want to have multiple cameras coming into Wirecast with your tower or your laptop, good luck. You're going to have to really shove out some dough for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
shove out,
hand out some dough,
shovel out some
dough,
dough,
burn some
shove
dough.
out dough.
What is this? What's the term?
Shovel out money. Shovel out some.
You need to quit shoveling shit out your mouth.
I wasn't the one who fucking said
Hey,
it.
let's move
You
on.
did.
I don't know why we're focusing on this. I don't know why we're focusing. Don't focus on me.
I gotta keep things a little lively, otherwise we're all gonna.
Well, here's something lively. Just real quick. For Christmas, one of the craziest things I got as a present.
Yodeling pickle.
No.
Okay.
My elf costume.
So, if you haven't seen the meme, we'll really need to make sure we put that on the website.
Really?
Yeah, because the meme that your buddy did with your little image is just the greatest thing ever. It's just the greatest. Because I must have got 100.
Are you talking about with the other elves?
Yes, I must have got at least 150 likes just on my Facebook page from it.
Yeah.
And then Tim turned it into a meme with a bunch of other elves in Santa's house.
And all my coworkers loved it.
Oh, it was
there
so great. It was really well done,
that
too.
Were trying to give me like a really hard time about it. And I said, listen, I don't give a fuck. It made my kids smile and laugh.
Oh, God, yeah.
It brought joy to my home. I don't care if people laugh. I'm not truly going out to get groceries in an elf costume. By the way, they were pajamas. The whole story is every Christmas my wife gets everybody pajamas. And this year, because I had to work and she had to work, it was a little fucked up. She wrapped them in a present. And so when I opened up a present, I had these fucking
elf PJs.
PJs. And it just made her laugh, just the idea of me being in these things.
And she knew you'd wear them, too.
Yeah, and I was just like, fuck it, I'll put it on. I'm not wearing them every night. They're not that comfortable.
Oh, none of them are.
Yeah.
I even you've seen the Superman and the Wookiee ones. I mean, there's full footy PJs for grown men. PJs. But I'm saying that you can be Chewbacca without the head because there's a full Wookiee outfit. There's a full Superman, Batman. You can buy full-on outfits if you want. So you're more than welcome to get one of those next, or she can get one of those for you. It would be hilarious if you opened up a fucking Wookiee PJ set. PJ. Thanks, honey, I think.
Thanks, honey. I do love those
I'll lose 10 pounds sweating in this.
You pull the hood up and you zip it all the way to the top, and there's like a mask.
Why do you like those? Can you breathe?
Yeah. Like the mask is like perforated.
Oh, okay.
But it's kind of a neat thing for kids, especially for Halloween when it's fucking cold as shit out. You got to put a sweatshirt on.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I just said that.
Well, and then recently have been a lot of those crazy knit face masks that people are making now. They're kind of crocheted, that are really soft material, but then you look like
Was it you that showed me those?
Yeah, you look like the octopus face guy from Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. And then you can get ones that have like a beard. You can get the ones that have.
I totally want to get some of those. I think those would be fucking awesome.
That'd be a fun gift to get like both your kids. You get one with gray beard, and you get one with like a black beard, and then you can take pictures in them and stuff.
Yeah,
but
just
it looks like
it's supermarket with your 7 dwarfs.
Yeah, but it looks like they're actually probably keep your face warm. That's why I liked them. I thought, that would work. You know?
I think it would.
I saw somebody the other day with goggles on and a snowboarding outfit, and they had one of those face masks on.
Really?
Underneath, coming out from underneath their goggles. I thought were pretty cool looking. But.
All right, let's get back to this for a second.
Oh, please. I was just so looking forward to this part.
Shut up. Jeez, you're really busting my balls about this thing. Okay, so we covered mics, mixers, software, cameras. Again, we're still using the Canon HF-G20s, and I just recently got another one because they're solid. They're solid cameras. It's a really good picture. It's nice and clear. It's not zoomed in at all.
It's adjustable.
Yeah,
you can
totally
adjust everything inside
white
of it.
balance, all that stuff. It's really a great camera, and a lot of cameras actually can do that nowadays. It's just that people don't take the time to really understand all the settings in their cameras, and you should really get away from the manual. Or I'm sorry, you should get into the manual settings and get away from the auto settings. So from there, Todd and I decided that I really to save money or to save time, because you want to spend as much time as you can with your family and friends and not every fucking spare second editing. I had a buddy of mine build me a computer. I have an i7 processor, 460 solid state drive. Um, some of those basic things of computing, it's just an absolute fucking workhorse. I spent way less than I would have if I would have went to. We talked about Wirecast. The other option is to go with TriCaster. Okay, TriCaster is the other big boy brand out there for video production, like a TV studio. But when you check out TriCaster, it is really expensive.
Yeah.
Really expensive. The bottom line product for TriCaster is $4,000, right?
Yep.
I believe it's $4,000. I couldn't deal with that because if I were to spend that much money, I also want to make sure that I can upgrade it.
Or that it blows you.
Or that
Either
it
way.
blows me. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, if you're going to spend that much money, it should be coated in gold and dipped in butter, and then it should be able to blow you. Because that's crazy money.
Hold on a second.
It's
Let me ask
crazy
you this.
money.
Is there really anything or anybody that you want dipped in gold to blow you?
No, I was just trying to be over dramatic and say that if you're going to spend that kind of money on something, it really should be able to do just about
drizzled
fucking.
with chocolate.
All right, listen, you say stupid shit all the time. All right, so just one time.
All right, I apologize. But to go with your computer, you're going to have to do a video capture card, okay? What I went with was Blackmagic Quad Link 4. Okay, it's an SDI inputs, and that's what all the big boy cameras use. That's what all the professional cameras use. SDI, if you have that and you're running cables, you're pretty much unlimited to what the distance is from the camera to the computer. You do have a set limit when you use HDMI. So I thought, well, we'll just go with that. Now, what I found out later is, especially with Wirecast in particular, when I've talked to the customer support every now and then, they would say, well, I don't know why your computer is, your shot, your camera is going blank or flashing. Sometimes they said the Quad Link, those Blackmagic cards are iffy sometimes. Why would you advertise them on your website to say, hey, these work good with my product, if they're somewhat iffy?
Right.
Right? So, upon further investigation, another capture card, you can have 4 HDMI inputs, which would have saved me a lot of money if I would have just went with that from the get-go, is Magwell HDMI capture cards. I still might put that in this. What are you doing?
I apologize. Sorry.
Are you that bored with this podcast that you are
not at all.
looking up videos?
No, I'm not looking up a video. I hit the wrong thing.
It's porn.
And the stupid.
I don't know why you're looking at porn.
I told you I don't need to watch porn anymore.
All right.
No, this is not porn. It was my next topic. If I could get a segue in somehow.
A segue somehow.
Yeah.
Do you really ever use segues anyway?
I try to use segues, but
You're just really bad at
I'm
them?
just really bad at it,
All
and
right.
you trained me.
All right. So again, the Magwell capture cards. Okay. We're almost completely current with what we have right now. We're almost up to date with it. The latest additions that we've pulled into the studio have been, we have a television that we use as a monitor, but we've brought in this Ninja 2. All right, the Ninja 2. It's a capturing device. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about technology today is because of my frustration with how products are advertised. Because how they're advertised, especially the Ninja 2, has been this. Hey, take any DSLR camera, and with DSLR cameras, when you hit video recording, you only have a set amount of time before it stops recording. Depending on what brand you have, it can be anywhere between 7 minutes and 29.59 seconds of record time. But then the shutter will shut, and that's it. You're going to have to hit record again on your DSLR. So this product, the Ninja 2 by Atomos, uh, everything that I read about it was, hey, this is an amazing product. Get rid of that 29.95 or 29.59 record time and just record limitlessly. So you can take your DSLR camera and turn it into a camcorder. Bullshit. Bullshit. Okay? So first of all, I don't even know who all was saying that, what YouTube videos I was watching that on, but everybody could not stop. Nobody I watched, how should I say this? Everyone was blowing Atomos. Everybody. Everybody that talked about the Ninja 2, which it is really cool, and I'll tell you how we're going to start incorporating that into the show, but not through DSLRs. If you're using DSLRs in your podcast show, they're awesome. If you're doing a 7-minute YouTube video,
Right.
or an 8-minute YouTube video, or a 4-minute YouTube video, or if you're going to be recording yourself and you're going to be getting up multiple times and hitting the record button and then editing the shit out of it later, DSLR cameras give you the best video.
Right.
Period. Because
Super
you can
clear.
put different lenses on it. You can get that f-stop factor. You can get that where the background's super fuzzy and out of focus and you're in focus. It's
right. Why am I blanking on that? Depth of field? Or
depth of field. Thank you, Todd.
Hey, can pull something out of my ass once in a while.
You're awesome. Thank you.
I'm awesome?
You are awesome.
You're a nice guy.
So I got a DSLR because I was watching some YouTube videos saying, hey, the Nikon D5100, you can do this and you can hack it and you can record for as long as you want. I'm like, fuck yeah. And I'm a little impulsive. Buy through Amazon.
Just a tad impulsive.
Tad impulsive. Purchase. And so then I'm looking into it, and the realization is DSLR cameras have a certain amount of time that they keep the shutter open for in record or live view mode. It's stuck in open for so long, and it shuts because it's trying to protect itself. There's code in it that's saying
you're gonna fucking heat up.
The
it's gonna
camera
blow
gets
up.
really hot,
and
and
do
if you
this.
get too hot, it's going to ruin your sensor. So there are limitations to these things.
For a reason.
For a reason. So if you're only doing a super short video on YouTube, use DSLR cameras because those are awesome. They give you super crisp and clear, awesome
And you might already
shots.
have one too. Like you might already have a great camera sitting in a camera bag that's going to work perfect for you. Instead of having to go out and buy a camcorder or a DSLR or one of these USB plugins, maybe you have a DSLR sitting in your closet in your hallway because you just use it to pull pictures out when you guys go on vacations. You might have a fucking sick camera sitting right there.
Right. And you need to do your homework. Take your camera to your local camera shop and see when they're going to be doing classes on it. See if somebody can educate you a little bit more on it. The other thing, if you're having a hard time getting a decent picture, is your lighting. Now, right now, our studio is a little bit smaller than I'd like it to be. It's actually a little bit smaller than our past couple studios, and we share it with other people. So it's not like we can completely take this thing over and start hanging lights everywhere. But lighting completely changes how well your camera works. If you have a lot of lighting, then you're not dropping any frames per second. So like if you're recording at 1080p, 30 frames per second, which is really good. You're moving your hand back and forth like this. There's really no lag. There's not a whole lot of blurriness. But if you have really shitty lighting, it's gonna drop your frames per second. It's gonna get super blurry to where if you're just moving real slow, you're gonna see that motion blur. Okay, so if you think you're getting bad video, really bring in extra lighting, and there's a lot of 3-point video lighting segments on YouTube that you can learn a lot from. So I would recommend that. So if you have a DSLR camera, you want to do really quick shots for YouTube, get a microphone, lavalier or dynamic, so that you can get video and sync it up. Don't forget the clap. You just pull those two things together in your post-production software and synced, so you don't look like an old Chinese kung fu movie, right? We just talked about cameras. We talked about
computer.
Bother me. The Atomos Me now, if you go to Atmos website and check out the Ninja 2, they will give you a list of in movies now
Yeah.
and in regular TV, because when I watch this stuff, I can't stop thinking about how many
What?
shots was just in that scene.
Well, I thought about spoiler alert for those of you who don't want to hear anything about Star Wars. Stop fucking listening. But I thought that when Kylo Ren stopped that laser bolt that went through the air,
yeah.
and it was sitting there hovering, and they were walking behind it and around it, I thought
Sure.
that was my thought in my head too. I was like, "Fuck, that's amazing technology they did just for that thing."
Right.
I also thought, "Oh, damn it!" I had another one that was in my head that just blew me away. Oh, I know what it wasn't a video shot, but in Rey's flashback, she sees what we assume is Luke Skywalker putting his hand on R2, right? He's on his knees.
Hand.
And so I read more now, again, spoiler alert, is that that's a shot of the flashback of him seeing the Jedi temple burning that Kylo Ren destroyed. You know, when he went bonkers and killed everybody. It's Luke at his lowest moment on his knees, touching R2, watching the temple burning. And they only know that because the script has been sent out for best script for Oscars, right? And so they sent the script out for people to read and then judge, right, if it's well written or not.
Best script for Oscars.
Best script, best writing for a movie.
Right, for the next movie.
No, for this current movie for the Oscars that are coming up. And
so there's
people got it.
Details.
Yeah,
extra details.
And so they're reading through it, and there's a thing that talks about when he sees Rey at the end that that he looks at her with a look of knowing and apprehension, and like there's so many things that are in the script that you don't get to see in the movie, or you're not interpreting how they wanted you to interpret.
Right. And at the end of the movie, that was probably the most awkward thing. Is the end of the movie, she's holding this lightsaber out, and he's staring at her, and which can only be described. I think the best way to describe it is a really horrible soap opera stare down.
I did not think it was that bad. That's just my
Dude,
opinion.
it's fucking 45 to a minute and a half of her just holding this lightsaber out and him just staring at her, and nothing is fucking said.
And in his stare, you're supposed to have seen him recognize her, be apprehensive about what she was handing him. There was a bunch of things that were supposed to be transpiring. I picked them all up. Obviously, you didn't.
No, I got it all, but you could have ended it after about 4 seconds.
I'm just kidding. I don't get it all. But I think that all these things are trying to transpire, but it makes me excited for the next ones because even that little, I didn't think it was that big of a spoiler, but in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, so now I want to learn more about him bringing into the temple, but there's a gap in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. And so in that gap is when all these things happen with Kylo Ren that ruin things with Luke.
Yeah.
So
is this going to be, do you think this could possibly be a setup like the first ones were? Like these three, like they're already scheduled out that these three are going to happen.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there going to be three after that that's like a prequel? Prequel movies. I hate that shit that they don't show.
Part of it is that the prequels were done so poorly. They're so cartoonish and fucked up, and that people just really can't stand them at all. People will force themselves to watch it because it's part of the legacy of it, but otherwise people don't like it at all. I watched, you and I talked about Marco Polo. Remember how Amazon had a show called Marco Polo? Was it Netflix? Netflix had Marco Polo, right? Which I thought was great.
I haven't been able to watch it.
Oh, you need my code?
No, you canceled it.
No, I didn't cancel it. I still have it. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'll watch
so
it at your place.
so there was you remember the martial artists in Marco Polo, that guy that trained Marco in martial arts. Remember that, the
Sure.
blind guy?
Yeah.
So he is we're only pulling 47% right now for CPUs. That's pretty good. Not bad.
Yeah.
So he's called is it 100 Eyes? I think his name is 100 Eyes. That Asian guy, obviously is Marco Polo. The Chinese martial artist, right? Is called 100 Eyes, and he's blind.
Oh, okay, sure.
Well, the Khan is the one who blinded him, and he captured him because he killed 50 of his soldiers by himself. The beginning of this show is him with what are those? That's that martial arts tool where it's everything's on the end. There's a spike on the end of a chain,
Yeah.
and you can whip it around. They swing around their fucking heads and shit.
Yeah.
But you know what that's called? You're a martial arts guy. No. Anyways, he has that when they attack his temple because he's a monk, and so he's brought to the Khan and he says, "What kind of monk can kill 50 of my men? This is, you killed the son of one of my generals and all this kind of no." He killed a bunch of guys. Then they bring him in, and the Khan says, "You're gonna teach my men how you fight, because this will make us, this is why he was so fucking crazy, anyways, or awesome." They bring this guy in, and so they say, "You're gonna teach so and so how to do this fighting," and they're in a room with all these guards and stuff like that, and then the Chinese master kills everybody in the room, and one of them happened to be one of the number one generals of the Khan. And so the Khan said, "Sorry, that's an unforgivable act." And so they chain him to the floor, and they put like this square board around his head, and they pull a cobra out that spits venom in his eyes and blinds him. And so he has to become. So he eventually thanks the Khan. The Khan pulls him in and like playing chess or something. He was like, "Thank you for the gift you've given me," or something like that. He's like, "Why?" He's like, "I used to have one set of eyes, and now I have 100 set of eyes." And he starts playing, beating the Khan at chess blind, because he's enhanced his perceptions of the world around him. So it kind of tells the story of just that one character. They must have got a lot of. I remember liking that character a ton when I watched the show, going, "Fuck, I love those badass, those calm, cool, and collected, quiet motherfuckers that just fuck everything up." I love those guys, and so I always liked him. So they must have got feedback that a lot of people liked him, because they did a full show just on him. It's called Marco Polo 100 Eyes, and it's a prelude to the next, I think this summer is season 2 of Marco Polo.
Oh.
It must take...
Marco Polo is a pretty awesome show.
Can you imagine what it takes to shoot that thing?
It's a great show. There's a ton of hot nudity.
Hot and nerdy, great violence, and a great story, and it's so well shot. I don't know where they... That's why I'm not surprised they have these big gaps in between seasons, because where the fuck do you get cinematography like that and people riding horses like that and the stunts that are involved?
Right.
It kind of shocked me about how intense that show, that when they have those big epics like that are on TV, I'm just like, somebody fucking gambled, man. Somebody threw the dice on this, because you imagine all the horses, all the men, all the things that go into doing those kind of things. It's got to be hundreds of millions of dollars to pull something off like that.
Right.
And I know I've watched videos that have talked about how you can make a place look like it is when it's not, kind of thing, like it's in Africa when it's not in Africa because of lighting and shit like that, or you splice in B footage of stuff. Racing horses in a group, I'm just like Marco Polo. I'm like, I don't know how you would pull off some of that stuff. They have lots of long dramatic shots like you see in movies that are cinematically really amazing, and I don't know how you get those by splicing in B footage and fucking with lights. You know what I mean? So
yeah, the green screening and all that stuff. It's just amazing. Movies in general, like I said, when you dip your toe into this pool of creativity, you're trying to create something. Now I'm doing some commercials for local businesses and things like that, and trying to do some fun stuff. You're trying to be that level. You're trying to bring your game up to that level, and
I don't know. Are you really trying to bring your game up to a movie level?
Not a movie level, but because I there's no way I can get there. I do believe that your equipment only takes you so far.
Right.
But you have to have the story. You have to have the content. You have to have the things that are going to make somebody either want to listen to you, want to watch you, the humor.
Right. Think of independent films. Independent films are that.
Right.
With a shoestring budget, some guy shot a whole movie on his iPhone. So, I mean, that's... that tells you that you have to have some depth to what you're doing. Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
Really understanding your shot list, really understanding
Right.
how are you going to convey visually. In a book, you can say, Kylo Ren is thinking about this.
Right, yeah.
But when you're watching a movie, you can't do that unless you have some horrible
And you can't
audio
have somebody
over.
yelling their feelings,
Right.
I'm really mad at you right now. You frustrate me because you're my father. You can't have somebody doing shit like that. It's got to be the subliminal messages that,
Right.
how do you tell that?
So I'm actually going to be working on this weekend. I'm shooting Little Red Riding Hood goes to her Super Bowl party.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah. It's for a hold and go slow cooker. So you can get your hold and go slow cooker at holdandgo.com. It's a great product. And so this weekend it's kind of like that little bit of stress coming up. Like you want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. You have all your shot lists set up. You know exactly what you want to do. You have all the people invited that are going to participate in the video.
And don't you drag a lot of shit around with you?
Drag a lot of shit?
Like lights and...
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to deal with all that stuff. I mean, you gotta plan on supporting your own lights. You can't hope for the sun to be in the right spot. Because we did a commercial for the first Hold and Go commercial. We shot it at a certain time of day. We didn't get all the shots, so we had to wait until the next day at the same time to get it. And then I thought, wait a second, I need to. Unless somebody's going to come back at 8 o'clock in the morning, so the sun's on the other side to hit me just right, I'm going to have to like pull my car around and get a different angle. So you got to be a little creative when you're doing that stuff. But one other movie that I saw, I think that pretty much sums up the technology bit. So if that's all you wanted from this podcast, we're about it.
We're about done.
To sum this up, when you're getting equipment for your podcast or for your show or whatever you want to do, really take the time to investigate it, watch YouTube videos, see unboxing videos, know exactly what you're getting and what does that equipment work well with this equipment. If I were to do things all over again, I probably wouldn't have gone with GoPros right away. I probably would have saved up money and went right with the Canon Vixia. And I would have went with Magwell capture cards instead of the Blackmagic Quad Link. So
just it's a more direct input. That's kind of the key.
Yeah,
though,
you don't
right?
need adapters when you're taking HDMI out of a camera and doing HDMI into the back of your computer. You only get that with the Magwell. I haven't seen Blackmagic with HDMI for HDMI inputs, but.
Any other technology stuff you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
No, I mean headphones. We use headphones, but it's. I really love these Sennheiser.
I had a friend of mine the other day who was like, "Yeah, I got to get my son Beats headphones," and I go, "Do you have to get him Beats headphones?" No, he didn't say he wanted Beat headphones. He said he just wanted really good headphones. And I said, "Then go with Sennheiser." Sennheiser. I said, "Don't get Beat headphones. They fucking suck."
Well,
she goes,
they don't suck.
Yeah, they suck, and they suck because they're not very well made, and they pump up. They have a lot of bass in them, so that you think you're getting this great sound when it's just bass. Bass can cover up all kinds of shit, and so I said, get these other ones, Sennheiser, so that you know you're getting Sennheiser. Fucking whatever. So you know you get really quality sound. You know you're getting every part of it is good, and so that way it's like anything else you buy technology wise. So that way you can increase the bass in on the thing that you're listening to instead of your headphones pushing the sound that you think you should be listening to. Adjust the sound to match what you want. These have great bass too, but you have to adjust the sound to them. They're not made to be like all fucking one sound. Right. And I think that's the difference between good headphones and ones that are promoted to be the best headphones, and they're really not that great.
Yeah, and
they're not studio headphones.
Another really great feature for headphones, since we're talking about headphones right now, a great feature is the cable. Where normally where headphones go to shit is right here at the connection where the cable comes into the headphones themselves. So if you can find, and these don't disconnect. That's the one downside.
We're very gentle with them though.
Yeah, we're very gentle. So these don't disconnect. We just got my kids some headphones because they're always on their tablets and I don't want to listen to that shit. They have their cables disconnect from the headphones.
It's the key to life.
It's awesome. That way, if the cable goes to shit, you just replace it with a new cable.
Right. And I actually did the same thing for my kids this Christmas, and I actually bought them really good cables, the ones that have like they've been crimped at the end with really good metal that's part of the plug-in, and so the wires come in the back. They're crimped to the wire, and the wire and the thing on the end and the plug into the headphone are all one big thing. That they're not all separate pieces of plastic that can all just kind of fall apart.
Oh.
It's two pieces, and so they're really strong, and they're that cloth wire wrap thing, so they don't get kinked up and the plastic gets cold and breaks and shit like that. So they know how this stuff breaks, and they're in deep shit because I went one step beyond to try to counteract their destructiveness. And so if they if they destroy them, then they've gone out of their way to fuck with Dad. It's not it. They just I'm being sarcastic. They know that they're not getting anything till Christmas next year, so that's a long year if they fuck it up. So
two things.
Please.
One, I forgot to talk about with the microphones. There is a vibration thing that this is sitting in. My microphone, all of the microphones on this table, on this boom. We use these retractable boom arms, right? But if you don't have the microphone sitting in these rubber bands, I'm shock mount. It's a shock mount. If you don't have a microphone sitting in this shock mount, then every vibration, you'll hear this. Is that coming across?
Yeah, I can hear it.
So, if I hit the boom, is it coming across real clear?
A little bit, no, just barely.
But if it wasn't in the shock mount, it would totally do that.
They clang and make noise, and
you can find these shock mounts. They're less than $10. Some shock mounts are fucking stupid expensive. You don't need stupid expensive. Get on Amazon Prime or get on Amazon. I'm sorry. And look up shock mounts because these were less than $10, and they actually came with like this metal screen that I just took off today to put on this thing because we're trying something new. But yeah, less than $10, and they've been awesome.
Yeah,
it
they're pretty
totally
amazing.
takes out any of that noise that might vibrate up from the table up to this. Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about was the movie Concussion. So I did watch another movie.
Oh, you watched
and that
Concussion?
Movie was Concussion, and
is it good?
Wow. You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
It's really, really good.
Does Will Smith do a good job in it?
I think Will Smith does a great job in it. I think the guy that he's playing, the character that he plays, fits Will Smith pretty well.
Right.
You know? The thing that really struck me as just amazing was, you know, Will Smith's character is trying to emphasize. He's trying to bring home the point to this new guy. He's meeting this new guy, this other doctor, and he's trying to bring in as many supporters as he can. So he meets this guy, and he's trying to prove a point. Well, he starts out with this. A woodpecker slams his head into wood X amount of times at X G-force, right? And a ram slams into another ram with this much G-force. And so he starts giving examples of the animal kingdom, right? And how all these other animals are slamming their fucking heads against things, right? With how much G-force. And then he gives examples of why they're genetically created to be able to do that. Like the woodpecker, the tongue of the woodpecker goes up and surrounds the brain.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it cushions it like an airbag. So the brain isn't sloshing forward and
Smashing
slamming into the inside of the skull. The ram genetically is created to be able to have that force of impact. And
the horns transfer a lot of energy,
so that
right?
The brain doesn't get destroyed. And he said human beings were not created to play football.
Right. Oh, that's for sure.
And so you watch that. That was the first thing that I took away. That really surprised me. The second thing that really surprised me was Will Smith's boss in the coroner's office, because Will Smith is just a coroner.
Okay.
Right? The boss of Will Smith was trying to explain to him how big the NFL is.
Right.
And he said, think of it like this. They have their own day of the week. They've taken over Sundays. They have their own day of the week. Now, this is back in the 80s, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it's not half the behemoth it was now that it was back then.
Right.
For sure.
Well, no, it's bigger now.
That's what I mean. That's
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean. It's twice as big. Yeah.
And he goes, Sunday used to be God's day. The NFL took Sunday away from God. That's how powerful the NFL is.
Yeah, I never
when he
thought
said
of it.
that, I was like, holy fuck, you're right.
I never ever thought of it that way ever.
There's a guy that I work with. He used to work nights, and he would get into these arguments with his wife because if it wasn't during the football season, all right, outside of the football season, on Sundays, he would sleep in super late, get up, and go to work. There would really be nothing. He wouldn't participate in his family's life very much on Sundays if it wasn't football season. If it was football season, he would get up at 11 and watch football all day.
Yeah.
And so she would confront him about this. Why do you say you're always tired, but if football is on, you're not. You're watching it. And football is an addictive thing. I personally am not letting my kids play football. But
me either.
Do my kids really enjoy it, watching it?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter how much I'm trying to tell them that over time, it doesn't have to be a concussion either. It's every time
they smack heads.
You smack heads. The actual guy was on a talk show, whether it was Good Morning America, I forget which one, but he had two like pieces of fruit, like a peach or something, in glass in a jar with water. And he goes, every time the fruit smashes into the glass. When I bring the glasses together, the fruit smashes into the inside of the glass, and it just deteriorates. It doesn't have to be this full-on horrible concussion.
Right.
Just all these tiny
over
micro
time.
Smashes.
Well, and I think they made a big point. Like I said, Brian Gumbel is the one who, a long time ago, I saw this that convinced me not to have my kids play football, period. And it was mostly because they showed, I think we've talked about this a couple times, but they showed pictures of a kid's brain from the beginning of the football season to the end of the football season. And they showed the brain activity happening in the first one, and then how it just deteriorated. Every single picture, it deteriorated until at the end it was like spotty colors of green and red. Or at the beginning it's yellow and green because there's an active brain happening. And he was saying that not all of these were concussions, but there was a concussion in there. But if you don't allow... So in other words, he's like, you can have concussions even. You can have concussions. But your brain is a muscle. It has to heal. Imagine bruising your thigh and then going out and bruising it again and going out and just that repetitive trauma to that area without letting it heal and get better. But this guy is, but the guy you talked about is saying that it's not just one thing. It's this repetitive things. Even if it heals, it's still causing damage.
Now, my voice just cracked. My voice is cracking a lot as I get older. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you're hitting puberty. It's okay.
Yeah. I don't know exactly. The way it was represented in the movie was, it doesn't fucking matter if you think you're letting it heal. If you think if you got a concussion and you're like, well, I need X amount of time off, you've damaged your brain.
Okay.
And he talks about it like calcifying, and it chokes you from the inside out. It was so fucking disturbing. It was so sad. And I know these are just actors, but these are actors that are portraying
real people,
real athletes who have lost their fucking mind. They don't know who they are anymore. They can't be the person they were in their 20s.
They're violent. I mean, there's so many things happening to the point. I mean, can you imagine getting to the point where I'm so bad off. I am so bad that there's got to be something wrong with my brain. I'm going to shoot myself in the heart, which I'm going to assume is not as painless as shooting yourself in the head. I'm going to shoot myself in the chest so that my brain is undamaged from the bullet so that they can look at it.
Who was the
Junior
Seau?
Yeah, that's what he did. He wrote a note saying, this is why I'm doing it this way. You know, and we're talking about a really thoughtful, loving, caring guy who was a beast in the NFL.
I don't know who he was. I don't know who he was in his off time. I knew that he was an idol.
Yes. Oh,
that tons of kids looked up to, and tons of football players in high school wanted to be like Junior Seau.
Right. Knocking yourself out, hitting people kind of level.
Junior Seau, he was miserable. And the character, the first person that Will Smith does an autopsy on, he talks about how the guy was ripping his own teeth out and super gluing them back in, and ripping his teeth out and super gluing them back in, because he couldn't. his brain was saying
Not functioning.
his brain was saying you're in pain, you can't sleep, you're hearing voices, you can't control yourself. All of a sudden you have like this glimmer of sanity, and then that drives you more insane because you are looking back at all the crazy shit you just did to your wife and
Right.
kids. And so it's this constant uncontrollable thing, and you are a prisoner of your own mind.
Well, and no wonder people turn to drugs and alcohol. I mean, think of PTSD damaging your brain, and that's just the stress of being in horrible situations, and you can't think straight, and you want to kill yourself or you self-medicate. This isn't the trauma that's a physical trauma that's happening. It's not a traumatic brain injury. Yeah, it's pretty insane stuff. But all right, buddy, we got to wrap this thing up.
All right. Well,
Anything
thank
else you want to add to
I just want to
anything
say
at all,
thanks
or-
to everybody for watching the Primal Scream podcast and enjoying it. And if you have, we're going to be doing more shows that are live, and we're going to be putting those out on our tweets, and we're going to be putting those out on Facebook. So if you want to be a part of the show, send in your comments, send in your tweets, send in your Facebook messages. We'll be letting you know the guests that are going to be coming on, so that you can maybe, if you want your question read on air. I suppose this is on air.
Yeah, there's only a slight delay.
Tweet it into us or Facebook it to us. We'll check it out, and we'll pick some to ask our guests when they're in.
That'd be kind of fun to do.
I think that's going to be kind of the new fun thing that we're going to be doing on this podcast. I won't put you on the spot, Todd.
Why are we?
I was going to put you on the spot and ask,
Go ahead, put me on
like,
the spot.
who's coming up? Who should we be expecting on the next couple episodes of the Primal Scream?
Well,
I won't do that.
you'll be meeting a couple people from the Vault and from the Geometric Building, part of the group that we're part of here at TPFC Productions, and those are going to be two of the better ones, because I think that we're going to learn a lot about who we're part of and what things we don't know about the people that we work with. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and it's people that are like that, or organizations
Sure.
that are like the Vault and like the Geometric Building, that create a situation where people can come in and be creative and do special things, be entrepreneurs, and those people are like Steve Jobs. How much did Steve Jobs change the world?
Right.
Those are the people.
It takes little things. I think we talked about on Somebody's Got to Do It with Mike Rowe. Mm-hmm. There's a place in San Francisco where anybody can walk in anytime they want and use computers and saws and shit.
And if you want to check out a lot of those videos, which are super cool and they're way above my head, but I love watching people be creative and creative.
Yeah.
And
but that's where Square got started, where you now can plug it into your iPhone
and you zip
and
your
zip
credit
it
card
through.
across it.
And they came up with that idea there and developed it there, and now it's a $5 billion a year company.
If you want to see some really cool videos on that, go to YouTube and type in "Make It." Make it.
Just make it. It's
Just
out of
make it.
it's out of that place.
It's like you'll see a ton of videos of maker fairs, make it fairs,
Okay.
and different.
I can't remember this was one
Different
Mike Rowe
organizations.
show where they had people. That's a place in San Francisco where you walk in and it's just full of. It's like the machines you've talked about in the past that can cut things out of wood, out of metal, out of
CNC machines.
CNC machines. They have 3D printers you can
Yep.
use. I mean, I don't know. It was just such a cool thing to watch that and then realize that I'm gonna guess that Square gives a shitload of money back to that place.
Well, you
You would
would
hope.
that you would remember where you came from and try to, really
Give back.
Make sure that environment that you created this thing with is
Still-
nurtured and healthy and able to do that for somebody else.
Somebody else for
So
sure.
anyway, that's it. That's it tonight for the Primal Scream. I'm Matt.
I am always as Todd.
Oh my God. We'll see you later.
Adios.
Good night.